How's it shaking, everybody? Tobin here with you as we got lots going on, man. Lots going on. Free agency's going on willy-nilly. You got Marlins free agency. I know that's what you're all tuned in here for, seeing what move the fish will make. I kid. The Dolphins, their free agency is going on, man. Listen, I'll probably do a few of these videos just because things will be changing hot and heavy. Like just as I was sitting down to record this, the first big ugly gets signed by the Miami Dolphins as reports are coming out that they are going to sign former Cowboys guard Connor Williams. It's according to Barry Jackson, a 2-year deal, $14 million, and has $7.5 million guaranteed. Let's see. Pro Football says that he was rated the 11th best guard in football last year. I mean, perfect what the Dolphins need, man. Fix that interior. Keep building that wall around Tua Tagovailoa. I know there was a lot of angst after day one from Dolphins fans about not adding to the offensive line, which I get. I mean, that feels like number one priority with them getting things right, with them solidifying some protection around Tua. It was so horrid last year. And it seems like they will be pretty set there. I mean, like the idea of they did have Robert Hunt move to guard last year. Is there a possibility they kick him outside if they can't find another replacement there? I don't know. Again, a lot of this stuff is up in the air. It's still moving. It's still shaking. So, I don't want to be like ripping a move by move on a video and then all of a sudden, boom, I gotta then put something else up that reacts to it. But I'm glad that it seems like they got a guy who is, solidified. And see, Barry writes 2 sacks, 12 hurries, and 624 blocking snaps last year. Did get a lot of penalties, which was a little bit odd for him last year. Didn't have a ton of holds up until last season, so that was an oddity, and certainly is a bit of a concern. But it does stand out very much throughout his career. But Dolphins need to do it, man. They got to continue to go out there and build this wall in front of Tua Tagovailoa. That's the number one priority. Which I think had a little people, some people nervous after day one. But again, this stuff's moving, man. It's moving and shaking. There's people getting released time and again. I saw that Miles Jack was released by the Jaguars. I'm a big fan of him, by the way. I know that there's like some debate. He's had a little bit more success as an outside linebacker as opposed to a middle linebacker, but he did lead the Jaguars in tackles last year. He's been flipped a lot in his Jaguars career. Always thought of as a really talented dude. Had some injury concerns coming into his career. I just really like him as a player. I don't know if it's a little bit too much of a Jerome Baker cancel out, just because you kind of have those two, they essentially have like two guys who are almost tweeners in that regard. I just think he's a really good football player. So does tickle my fancy a little bit. Not gonna lie. As far as yesterday, listen, the Goosey's level, I wouldn't say it was high yesterday. I would say it was a flat 3 Goose level. Adding the moves that they made yesterday, it's not that I'm against them. It's just that, like, I do think that these are guys who they're looking at with more opportunity with Cedric Wilson and Chase Edmonds. Give them more opportunity, get them in McCoachin's scheme, and they can do big things. Electric guys who can go out there and really provide a spark and do some more. I think that they're looking for some value of that. It's just, I don't think it's the moves that are going to get everybody all willy-nilly and goosed up. It's not like going to get one of the top guys that are out there. It's not the big splashes maybe that the Chargers made yesterday, or one of the top free agent names that are out there at wide receiver. But again, there's still moves to be made. There's still trades to be made. There are things that are still going out there. But I looked at those moves yesterday, and they're not like knock your socks off big money. They're not knock your socks off names. And so I think that Cedric Wilson certainly showed some explosion. I think that you want to continue to add just dynamic weapons here to open things up for everybody else. You don't want to be the only guy that defenses fear be Jalen Waddle. And, with Chase Edmonds, like, look, dude, they got to do complete revamp in that backfield. So I'm not like, I wasn't like blown away with the moves yesterday, but I was like, all right, this is one of the things. Like, I kind of just step back. I'm just like, I trust it. I trust what McCoachin's going to do and what these guys are going to do in his offense. I feel like they're going to go to this and this collaborative effort that they have between him and Chris Greer, and they're like, what kind of guys do you like? And he's saying these are the types of guys that I like, and I think that I could do something with them, and it's not necessarily like this crazy price that you're getting him for. Honestly, yesterday the thing that was most important, I think, was locking up Emmanuel Ogbah. Like, to me, there were reports over the weekend that he had 1 foot out the door. It seemed like he was not going to return to the Dolphins. There were local reports about that, and then it's like the first thing that gets done at free agency is boom, Ogbah's coming back. And he's coming back for a deal that I think is pretty damn fair. I think for what he's provided and where he's at in his career, I think it's a really, really good move. I think, again, you needed somebody like him to just solidify things on the defensive side, bring that pressure, all the disruption that he causes. He's so damn good, and I think it frees things up for so many other guys, including your other side of the line and the rest of the guys in the line that are a lot younger than him. So I'm glad that they brought Ogbah back. That, to me, was a huge priority. And I just think that if you would have let him walk, I think it would have sent you scrambling a little bit. Yeah, maybe there's a guy that gets cut that frees up out there, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, we should have just gone with him instead of getting Ogbah. Yeah, I get it. And there's definitely going to be more pressure on Ogbah now. This always comes with getting the big deal. You even saw this yesterday. Like, people were griping about, oh, well, he's not that good. He's not a 15 to 20 sack guy. He's not the elite of the elite. It's like, all right, yeah, but not everybody's going to have the elite. He's still damn good. He's not getting paid like the absolute top of the league. And I think that it was important to bring him back. I think that he was an important part of the team. I think a lot of this defense, you want to keep it as intact as possible with exception to, solidifying what you got with the linebackers. But we all feel good about the DBs, especially the young DBs. We feel good that the Xavier Howard thing. I think that it's going to all work out okay. The Byron Jones injury is a little bit concerning for sure. I mean, anytime you hear Achilles, you're like, I would say probably, though, interestingly enough, and I know that locally people would probably locally, I don't want to say this. Locally people care, but I think like nationally the thing that probably grabbed the most headlines was Teddy Bridgewater signing with the Miami Dolphins, because people are going to look at that and be like, well, is that, a red flag? Like, Teddy Bridgewater, he started games. He's won games in this league. He's done okay. He's spotted for Drew Brees. He's done okay with the Vikings. It wasn't that great with the Broncos. But, and not only that, he's a local kid. He's coming in. And I definitely think that there's going to be CF with this dude. Like, I think there is going to be clamor effect for Teddy Bridgewater if Tua Tagovailoa struggles. But it does need to be said, like, if Tua Tagovailoa cannot beat out Teddy Bridgewater, then the problem isn't signing Teddy Bridgewater. The problem is Tua Tagovailoa. And I'm a Tua guy. I believe in Tua. I think this year should be given his chance. But this idea that you should be shook about having Teddy Bridgewater on the team because it sends a bad spotlight to Tua, I don't think is the case. I think that first of all, I think you have a coaching staff here that is going to believe in his skill set more. It is going to be upon Tua to show him that he's working right and that he is going out there and he is putting in the work and that he's showing development and all that type of stuff. That's on him. But I do believe that he's going to have more of the backing, more so than it seemed like he had with Flores, where Flores was like rats off a ship, openly telling him reportedly that, he was going after Deshaun Watson and, was seemingly starting Jacoby Brissett as punishment for saying he could play games at some points reportedly. So I think for this, it is still necessary to have a decent backup on your squad. I think that with Tua, there are still durability questions. Certainly with the offensive line, not quite solidified yet, but even if it's just an ankle, a finger, whatever, it's not common that you're getting these guys that start every single game now. Guys are getting nicked up. Guys are getting banged up. Lines are getting beat. Defensive linemen are getting more monstrous. And so I do think it is important to have somebody who is capable. I just think that in this market, having a guy who is from down here, who was beloved down here, remember, he was one of the guys, he was kind of kicked around when they ended up signing Ryan Fitzpatrick. They were moving off Ryan Tannehill. Teddy Bridgewater was one of the guys that was kind of kicked around, one of the names that was kicked around. He ended up going to New Orleans because he felt like the Dolphins were kind of in a tank position. He wasn't really going to be invested in as the starting quarterback. Kind of got that chance with the Denver Broncos. Didn't shake out right. And so, now he gets to do the homecoming thing. I think it's cool for him. $6.5 million guaranteed, which, man, backup quarterbacks make pretty good money. They really do. $10 million in incentives. Quarterback money is crazy out here. It is, but good for him. I remember when people were falling over themselves because Matt Moore was making $5 million a year. That was the thing. But for him, it's it's a cool story. I do think that if Tua struggles, people will clamor for him just because he is a local kid. I think it is a cool story. Now, I know Jacoby Brissett is local. He's a Palm Beach guy. He's not a Miami guy, but he was a South Florida kid, and showed some confidence in himself. Certainly when he got the gig, everybody was, I see myself as a starter. That was the whole thing, but he just wasn't very good. I mean, Jacoby Brissett just, wasn't a very impressive quarterback. And I think Teddy Bridgewater certainly is looking for a place where looking to rehab the career. And maybe he does. Look, I don't think there's anything wrong with Teddy Bridgewater coming in here, knowing he's the backup, but also realizing, hey, not the sturdiest grounded quarterback, right? Like if you're looking for a place in your career to get things right, maybe you go the Mitch Trubisky route and you're just a backup in Buffalo and you're not going to dethrone Josh Allen, but maybe you'll get the next opportunity with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Or you look at a place and you're like, oh, that's vulnerable. I go there, possibly I can get in, get some spots, and maybe the gravy train keeps rolling. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't necessarily mean that I think that Teddy Bridgewater is going to be out there flicking to his ear in the hitting him with spitballs in a quarterback meeting. But the local tie is an interesting thing, and it is cool in a lot of ways too. So it's been an interesting first day. I wouldn't say it was knock your socks off. I wouldn't say it was like, oh my God, but it wasn't those years where it was like super irresponsible either, where you're like, wow, and Ndamukong Suh, biggest names out there, all that type of stuff. We're not there yet, but there's still plenty of stuff to kind of kick around and react to and see where it goes from here. So it's interesting, man. It's an interesting day. I would say that the Teddy Bridgewater thing got maybe the most national buzz. I think the Emmanuel Ogbah thing is the most important thing. And as far as signing Edmonds and signing Cedric Wilson, I think it's like, okay. I mean, like if McCoachin thinks that they're going to be dynamic in this offense, I'm gonna roll with what McCoachin thinks. I think that's kind of just how I feel about it. It's not like, oh my God, it's blow you over star power, but I think maybe they're thinking about this, that clearly the guy has a high opinion of Jalen Waddle. Dude thinks that Jalen Waddle's their number one. I mean, do you have to go get over the top crazy wide receiver money? You saw what Buddy on the Jaguars got without even 1,000 yards receiving, like $20 million a year. The receiver money is pretty crazy out there. And I think a lot of this offense, they're going to want to focus on Jalen anyway. So it's good to just compliment them all around. Man. So, not the biggest Goosey's day in the world, but there's still plenty of time before this thing all is wrapped up.